Hello. So I have been meaning to do this lecture for a while, and it's been a lot going on. Shout out to Mercury being direct now. But it's been a lot going on, and I have not had the energy to do a lecture, on top of the fact that there was just, when I first came up with the concept of the lecture, there were more things that unfolded that kind of gave me there were still downloads coming. So I just wasn't ready at the time. And now is the right time, even though it is in the wee hours of the morning, it is just the right time for me to do the lecture. So I entitled this lecture Matriarchy and Marriage, because this is something that I really feel like I needed, 13 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, really. This is something that I needed to free my mind. I did not know what was really being fed to me as a young woman, a Christian young woman. I did not know what was being fed to me. I believed my elders. I believed society. I believed what I was being told. And that what people were telling me was best for me was best for me. That's what I believed, and that's what I just took at face value. And so I want to talk about some of those things. So one of the tenets, or one of the things what I want to start off with is kind of giving those of you who don't know me for real, just some background on me. So I'm a mother. I have a bachelor's in women's studies. I am a former birth worker, meaning that I assisted women in childbirth. I got licensed as a lactation, which is breastfeeding. And I studied public health as well. And I have had different experiences as far as motherhood is concerned. I've been a single mother. I have been a stay-at-home mom. I've had a myriad of experiences. And so I'm coming from a cultured experience of womanhood, Black womanhood. I do consider myself a Black womanist. So that is my perspective, and that's my lens that I'm coming from, so that you guys are clear. So a lecture came out, not a lecture, a article came out, this is about 2 months ago, and it made people really mad. And this article stated that they did a study, and it said that single mothers have more free time than married mothers. And people were just like, up in arms about it, because our society has taught us that being a single mother is the worst thing that you can be. That is what has been taught in society. And it's like, you're supposed to wear this scarlet letter. It's horrible. It's, just the worst thing humanly possible that could ever happen in your life, right? And the best thing that could ever possibly happen in the system of patriarchy is that you get married, right? So being a single mother is just, that's horrible. That's what is fed to us. And so when this article came out, people were really resistant to it, because it was like, how can they possibly have any good statistic come out about them, And a lot of women who are single mothers who were previously in relationships with, men were like, yeah, my life is easier now that I'm not married. My life is easier now that there is not, a male partner in my home. Things are peachy keen. And people were confused, about how that could be so. But women who live the experience, they are very clear on why. So I wanted to give a little bit of history on marriage. I've done some research on this. There is a book that was written in the 1930s, and it's called The Creation of Patriarchy. And I was reading this book last year, and it was just blowing my mind. Like, it was really, really mind-blowing because it was just straight historical facts. And it was just so shocking to me. So one of the things that I learned about the system of patriarchy that we live in now is that marriage was actually created as an economic thing. That's what it was created for. It was about money. Marriage was created by men in order to secure and confirm paternity. At one point in society, there was no way for a man to determine paternity, right? Children were deemed to be the mother's child because, they say mama's baby, daddy's maybe, right? Because, when a woman has a baby, you know for a fact that that baby is hers. Until you get some type of DNA sample, you don't know who is the father of the child. She could say it's her boyfriend, her husband, whoever, but no one really knows, right? Because children belong to women. So, men decided that they had no way to have heirs because they had no way to determine paternity. So the only way that they could pass down anything that they accrued, whether it be land or some type of money or anything that they had, would be to take on a wife and to marry her. That was the only way he could determine that these kids were his, right? Granted, she didn't sleep with somebody else while he was away, but right. So that's what it was created for. It was created for male security. And that's really it. Now, what happened is this eventually turned into female enslavement. It became where the woman became basically a domestic servant in the house, and she was an unpaid domestic servant. It was just her job to take care of everything, home related, child related, and food related, even down to gardening and stuff like that. She did everything. And she took on the brunt of everything. And, the husband went out and did work. If you want to go deeper, you could study husbandry. That's part of why they're called husbands. But this is discussed deeper in the book as well. And so it's been used as a weapon of enslavement. And I even know this to be true in modern times because I remember being in a relationship and having a friend who was also in a relationship with a man, and she very seriously wanted to be married again. We were both kind of under the guise and instruction of Abrahamic religious teachings. And so our goal in our relationships, right, was to be married. And so she was like, yeah, you should get married. You should get married because me and my boyfriend get married. And da, 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 da. And I remember feeling pressured. I remember it just being kind of like a thing where I was like, well, how am I going to make this so? How am I going to make this happen for me? And so I discussed it with my partner, and he was like, yeah. Like, that's what I want to do too. That's totally da, da, da. And I've seen this in a lot of situations with women where, because this is what is sold to us as the highest form of womanhood is being a wife, is a lot of men will dangle the carrot of marriage in front of you just to Because there is a responsibility that comes with being a husband. I'm not going to say that there's not. But they'll dangle the carrot of marriage in front of a woman who they know wants to be married, or they know, even if she might not want to, they know that that's what is deemed the highest role in society for a woman is wife. And so they'll dangle that carrot in front of her because that is a way for them to get free servitude. They don't have to get a marriage license. They don't have to buy her a home or do certain things that are expected of husbands. But they know they can still get that free servitude that comes with having a wife. So there is a statistic that says that married men do die later in life. They live longer. They live longer in life. Married women statistically die sooner. Why? And it's because they are traditionally, and I'm not saying this is every marriage, but this is a lot of marriages, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this, they're enslaved. So they're not in places of comfort and, living a quote unquote soft life and all these other things. They are busting their asses to maintain a home, keep a man happy, take care of kids, and they usually on a spiritual level they live outside of their bodies because they are not able to take care of their own personal needs. That is something that if you sit in one mom group on social media, on Facebook, these women are like, I haven't slept in days. I'm so exhausted. I haven't eaten. I don't get to go on trips. When I do go on trips, I got to take the kids, and then I'm responsible for the kids. My husband over there having a drink, and I'm over here with the kids. This is a norm for women. And an experience that I had, a mothering experience that I had, is what a lot of people call postpartum depression. I don't even call it that anymore. I call it postpartum isolation. I was entrapped with a child, with a man, and he just kind of, on some level physically, even though we still remain in the same home, he physically and mentally left. Meaning he would go a lot of places and he wasn't emotionally present in the home. Didn't change diapers, didn't make meals, didn't do anything really besides go to work and hang out with his friends. And that is a norm for a lot of women. They drop off the kids, they pick up the kids, they cook, they clean, they wash clothes, they iron her husband's clothes, they do all of these things on top of maintaining a job at that a lot of the times. And he just still acts like a bachelor. He's pretty much hired a female servant via marriage, which is the case a lot of the times. So like I said, marriage is currently used as a weapon of enslavement. I do personally, my theory is this is why it's sold to women. It's sold to women as, oh, you have to get married. You can't have kids out of wedlock. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this because, as stated in this article about how single mothers have more free time than married moms. And I'm not saying that single motherhood is not hard because I have done it. But one of the things that you learn to do when you're a single mother is you learn to build a tribe. And so you have babysitters. When you're married, a lot of the time you have a partner, people think, well, you got a man. So what do you need a babysitter for? What do you need a babysitter for? You have a man. They don't realize that he barely has any involvement with the kids at all, usually. And I'm not saying this is all marriages, but usually he has no involvement with the kids at all. So you do need a damn break. I mean, you're taking care of him, you're taking care of the kids, you don't have no time for yourself. You do need a break, but you don't get that usually when you're married because people don't treat you the same. When you're a single mother, you strategize differently because you don't have another parent in the home. And so you create a tribe. This is how I was able to finish college with a 2-year-old. Okay. We started my junior year of college when he was 10 months old, and I finished when he was 1. And people be like, oh my God, I can't believe you did it. I can't believe I did it either. But one of the things that made it possible was my tribe. I had a couple of paid babysitters and then a couple of friends that I was able to use in different situations, whether it be work or personal or educational reasons. Because I had different things going on in my life. to watch my son for me. Married women don't really have that luxury. Their husbands don't want to pay for a nanny. You know, they're not going to pay for multiple babysitters. It's just like, that's your job. You know, they just going to put it off on her. So yeah, single mothers are able to, they strategize differently. So yeah, they have a lot more free time, and ultimately they're free. That's the key word in that article, free time. You be like, oh my God, this girl got 4 kids. How she be going on cruises and doing this and doing that and doing this? Because she doesn't have to answer to a husband that tells her that she can't go places, or she has to go places with him. Or because I know some women who can't even go on girls trips, because if they go on a girls trip, who's gonna take care of these kids? Not her husband, because he don't even know how to wash dishes or wash clothes or whatever, or sweep or do any type of domestic duties. So she can't even leave her children with their father. That's again another norm that I see with women all the time. So she ain't going on no girls trip because she's ensnared with duties and unable to get out of that. And another theory that I do have is that a lot of men do, like I said, it's used as a form of enslavement. So there are men who marry women. I think this is more common and not commonly talked about, which is part of why I'm doing a lecture, is there are men that marry women because it's a form of enslavement. It's a form of toning you down. You know what I mean? Because then there's this thing when you're married, when you're a wife, you're not supposed to wear certain things. You're not supposed to behave a certain way. You're supposed to take on this different persona because you're a wife and you're a mother. This is why I also have a theory that a lot of women, especially when they are in restrictive marriages, I know all marriages are not restrictive. I know there are women with healthy marriages to men. But one of the things that I've noticed is there seems to be this dichotomy with like Madonna, whore, wife, mother. There's these different parallels and roles that women are supposed to fit in. And I've noticed a lot of women who are entrapped in these relationships and or marriages with these restrictive men. They have so much to say about sex workers and strippers and other free women who don't have children and just kind of like live a free life, and they ain't got no kids. They do what they want to do. They wear what they want to wear. I do feel like they are inherently jealous of them, because a lot of them don't have, I know some married women that don't have anything negative to say about strippers, but I know a lot of them do. Under this Abrahamic religious mindset that a lot of them have, they have a lot of negative things to say about these strippers and other women who don't fit society's standard for women. And I do feel like it's because they are inherently jealous. Because that stripper gets to wear what she want to wear. She gets money from lots of different men. You know, that woman who doesn't have kids, she gets to go wherever she wants to go. She ain't got to wipe noses. You know, she not having to tote a bunch of kids in and out of the grocery store, and things like that. And I think that a lot of women they're jealous of these women because they know that they've been their hopes, their dreams, their goals have been thwarted and taken from them. I think a lot of them as well are jealous of single mothers because a lot of them don't know how they would even survive without a lot of them are financially dependent on their husbands, and so they don't even understand how a woman with children with no man present can thrive, and they're scared to be able to do that, and because they don't even know how it's possible. And so they're mad. A lot of them are mad at these women. Like, how do you have kids or keep having kids and you ain't got no man around, and you driving this kind of car and you living like this and you doing that, and I'm over here with a husband and kids and I don't have that. This is what they told me I was supposed to do. And you're living a more fulfilling or exciting or desirable, that's the word I would like to use, desirable life, and you didn't follow the rules and I did. I actually had a woman tell me, this was like the funniest thing ever. I actually had a woman tell me when I was pregnant with my second child, I was not married to the child's father. And I was pregnant, and I was pregnant, and she was married and to a man, and she was trying to get pregnant, and she was having a lot of trouble. And granted, I did end this friendship with her, but she made a comment to me, and I've talked about this in other videos too, but this just further backs up my point. She made a comment to me about how it was unfair that I was able to have 2 children and I had never been married, but she was married and she couldn't get pregnant. And I remember being like, I remember we were on the phone. I was like, what? Like, what do you mean it's unfair? And it's because, again, like I was stating, this is why there's so many women who follow the rules, who are deep down, they're seething, like that life didn't just grow flowers for them the way that they expected it to. You know, because they followed the rules, right? So it's like I was supposed to have this perfect, easy life because I got married. I had all my kids by the same dude. I'm a good wife. Why do I feel like I'm in jail? And she over there with 3 baby daddies, and she's living like this, and she has that, and she looks great, and she's this and she's that. Like, why? And it's because you're entrapped, you're ensnared, you're not living. First of all, you didn't marry, you thought you married. You are living outside of your body. You're not living authentic to yourself. You don't want to be in a position where you're being controlled, yet you're being controlled. And that comes from programming. This is what I help women through in my Vixen program. As I help women through and out of that mindset and that lifestyle, because it's what so many women are dealing with and are tolerating, because a lot of them are afraid to even, one, there's the financial dependency that they have on their husbands, but a lot of them are, and I know how hard that can be because I've been a stay-at-home mom and been set back years. I mean, had a college degree, had certifications, was doing my thing, and then became a single mother became a stay-at-home mother to a spouse who didn't have the same level of education that I had, and he really set my life back years, which I think was inherently due to jealousy. Like, he wanted to tone me down. And that's what I see in a lot of these situations. He wants to tone you down. He wants you to, when he met you, it was cool that you was wearing booty shorts and you had an MBA and you was doing this and you was doing that. But once he sinks his teeth into you, they want to scale that all the way down. It's a form of dominance. You know what I mean? I'm going to take her and I'm going to bring her down to, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth. I want to bring her down to the level of my mother. My mother is homely. My mother is beat up. My mother's never been cherished. And that's all I know. That's the only dichotomy I have as mother. So although I met this woman and she used to wear makeup and, she used to wear crop tops and, she had her MBA or PhD, or she was, this successful lawyer and had all these things going on, I'm going to bring that down a notch so that I can have control. Yeah. And so this is where the terms of like, you're a whore, you're this, like the name calling comes in. Because I've seen like a woman who was an attorney. She married another attorney. They got married. They had a daughter. And then at some point they divorced. And then she started dating shortly or during the process of them getting divorced. She started dating. And shortly thereafter, after they finalized their divorce, she remarried. And guess what her ex-husband said about her? Oh, she's a whore. she's a that, all this name calling. And those terms, those words, I literally want this to, like, I want you guys to get this, because it took me a long time to get this, because I used to be so hurt when people would say stuff like this about me. Those words mean I can't control you. So when there's a man calling you a whore, or calling you a bitch, or calling you a slut, or though any type of degrading term that is used for women, it's because he can't control you anymore. Okay, so I've been called names by former partners because I had children with other people after them. And I've even had women do it too. Women are definitely used, especially women who are highly suppressed. Hello, women who are highly suppressed and they're being controlled by a man. They will also use the same type of terminology because it makes them feel powerful. But they'll say these things because it's like you're not being controlled. You didn't stay in a crappy marriage so that all of your kids could match. So now you're a whore because you went off and you met somebody new and had another child. So this is very common. You have to understand that a lot of these terms come from the fact that you're not following the rules of patriarchy. You're not allowing your previous partner to control you. Because I know women who do this. I know women who get divorced and they're like, I'm never going to date again. I'm never going to tell anybody that I have a boyfriend. I'm never going to have any more kids, because their worst nightmare is being seen as promiscuous or being called those names. Because again, their existence is still so deeply rooted in male appeasement. And that's what's wrong with that's what's wrong with a lot of folks. Yes. So that's pretty much most of my notes. And so it's like, this is what has taken us out of the space of matriarchy. And this stuff has been discussed on like you go take a basic women's studies course, a basic course in feminism. They'll talk about how, when you get married, you take on your husband's name and all these different things, like your identity shifts. But there's so many other layers to it that occur. And you don't have to change your name. You could keep your name. And there are people that do that. And there are people who merge their names together and have a whole new last name. But both husband and wife. But at the end of the day, the way things have been going and the way women have been controlled by this institution is not aligned with matriarchal standards. We live in a system of patriarchy now, and things are shifting towards a matriarchal focus. We're getting there. We have a way to go. We're getting there. But the control factor that a lot of women are still under and are still being suppressed with and controlled with, those of us who are free women and who are Hellcats and who are not to be controlled by this system are going to experience some heat. We're going to experience some heat because it is highly upsetting in this society for people who adhere to patriarchy to not see you in a subservient, controlled role. Like, they don't get it. They don't get how you could be free. They don't get it. How you could be free and be a mom, or how you can be free and not have kids, or how you could be free and not have a husband, or any type of male attachment whatsoever, or not even be in a relationship at all. You just want to be by yourself. They don't even understand how that works because there is such a deep rooted mindset of male appeasement that other people, they base their lives on. And I see, like I said, I see this so so much. I recently heard about a former colleague of mine who ended up homeless after doing everything right. Like literally waiting until marriage to have sex, marrying her partner, having children with her partner, becoming a stay-at-home mom. And when he decided to get a new boo, he decided he was tired of her and decided that he wanted a divorce, which is technically illegal, but whatever. He booted her from the marital home. And these are the type of things that women don't talk about. Like we talk about, well, you should have had all your kids. You should have got married first. You should have done this. You should have done that. What about the women who do everything right? What about that? What is the story? The story is when someone else is in control of your life, you don't have control of how the story is going to end. And so I think that it's very important for women, especially those who have not lived a full life, like you ain't 90, to be mindful of the judgments they make about where is my bag? Because I actually meant to put some mascara on. I'm just remembering that they make comments about women who are divorced or are single mothers, or don't live. They're not at the standard of wife and mother. They're not doing that. Be mindful of your judgments of these women, because you could very well be one of those women who do everything right, and you meet your Prince Charming, and you have your perfect, adorable little kids, and you have your picket fence, and you have your dog, and you change your last name, and you guys get the minivan, and you end up homeless, or you end up battered, because again, there are so many stories of women who were like, he didn't start beating the crap out of me until we got married. Yeah, because you were stuck then. He knew you were stuck then. He knew that you would be embarrassed to be a divorcee. He knew that you were saddled with children, and so you'd be afraid to leave, because that's what usually happens. And then for those women who do leave those type of relationships or leave the marriage, again, they're called that slew of names, that list of names that I just went through, because they bucked at the system. They want you to just shut up and take it. And when you don't, they try to punish you in different ways. They'll try to take your children. They'll try to publicly embarrass you, publicly humiliate you. They'll try to do all kinds of things. Triangulate your family against you. I mean, I could go on and on, from personal stories and stories I know of other women who did that. So that is my thing for women who are highly judgmental and make comments about other women who maybe have been divorced 2 or 3 times, or have whatever experience that you probably don't know nothing about because you weren't there. You don't know what happened after the marriage certificate was signed. You don't know what happened after the baby was had. Women who men begged to marry them, begged the woman to have a baby with them. And as soon as the woman did that, whether it be marriage or baby or both or whatever, he started acting a plumb fool. So I've learned through my life experience, and again, I'm not an elder yet, but I've learned in my 30 plus years experience to be mindful before you judge a woman on her life experience, because you don't know what type of sneaky, ensnaring activities occurred prior to her dissolution of a relationship with somebody. Did you be surprised how folks' behaviors will change? And they'll be like, yeah, she, and that's when you get dudes that be like, yeah, she crazy. She crazy, man. I don't know what's wrong with her. She trapped me with a baby. Knowing good and well he was on bending, he was begging, crying for a baby. He begged and cried for her to marry him. He promised her he was gonna marry her or buy her house or buy her a Lamborghini, whatever. You get the gist of it. But that happens all the time. So be mindful, because I see so many women who are entrapped in these situations because they believed that their partner was being honest. They believed that their partner actually was going to do what he said he was going to do. That his requests were valid, and he didn't have any ill intent behind them. She didn't think he was trying to saddle her with children or use her for servitude or, use her credit score so that he could buy a house or whatever. Girl, I can go on and on, child. I can go on and on with that. So yeah, that's one of the things that is going to help this patriarchal system, is for women to stop judging other women. Because when you judge other women, you are being used by the system of patriarchy to oppress other women. You're taking the man's side. You're believing your husband over his ex-wife. You're believing your boyfriend over his baby mama. And 9 times out of 10, and I've met some baby mamas that are something else, child. I've met some that are out the chain, but 9 times out of 10, she's not to blame for the situation. Okay? So that is what I wanted to discuss, to talk about. Like I said, the lecture has been on my heart for a while. Visit me at glamalchemy.com. If you go to shop, you can find my Vixen program, in which it's a 6-week program so that we can help get you emotionally free from the binds of patriarchy and be able to live authentically and live freely. So visit me there. I'm also doing private astrology training as well. It's also on the website. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and checking out my video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.